Hello and welcome to the Bandwagon Podcast. I'm your host Charlie Cooper and my guest this episode is the fantastic Sonja Wilson. Sonja is the lead singer from the ska band Section 8 and today we discuss live performances, the bonds in a band, festivals, recording at Bluebell Hill Studios and the future of Section 8. Sonja, thanks for joining me. How you doing?
I'm good, thanks, Charlie. How are you?
Yeah, I'm all right. As we spoke a little bit off mic earlier on, that having got a weekend of a gigging, which is nice, and sort of waiting for the year to kickstart again.
Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, with your let's talk about your group Section 8. And there's, I guess the fundamental questions are, how did that come together? Where does the name come from? And just a brief sort of story so far.
Okay, so the overview is Section 8's been going about a year and a half now. So the different band members played in other bands and we all came together. Some of the guys were involved in another popular band as well. And, without sugarcoating it, there was a bit of controversy around the old band. They were deemed a bit unreliable and there was a lot of drama around it. And so we decided to wipe the slate clean and start all over again, which is always a big risk, because you've got to build it from the ground upwards. But we've been building some really strong foundations for our little house of ska. So the story around the players, we're all older. So we're late 40s, early 50s, everyone in the band. Our newest member is Brendan, who is our drummer. He's got a lot of experience and he's a fantastic ska drummer and he's very well known within the ska sort of scene anyway. So he's the newest member. We've then got Nick on saxophone. Now, Nick learnt to play the saxophone during lockdown.
Oh, wow. So he's new to it then?
Yeah. So it just goes to show that A, if you set your mind to something, what you can achieve, and B, it also demonstrates that you're never too old to start something new.
Absolutely.
So that's Nick. Then we've got Chris on trumpet, who is phenomenal. He sometimes plays for Death of Guitar Pop as well. So he's a lovely, lovely guy. Also does a bit in some function bands as well. But he came on board for a couple of gigs. I got to know him. All the band really liked him and he just gelled and he just fits. He's mad as a box of frogs, but that's what I love about him.
The best people always are, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly. And then we've got on bass, we've got Dean. Dean's been with the band nearly a year. Again, very experienced bass player, played, in a few sort of different bands over the years, has always been into the ska and the mod sort of scene. So lovely, lovely guy. He's also a mechanic as well. So if there's a problem with a vehicle, Dean is the man for the job. So, and Dean is the tallest member of the band as well. He's huge. I think he's about 6'6", so he does have to watch his head on things. Yeah.
God.
So, and then we've got Rob, who is our lead guitarist, and Rob is also our songwriter. So all of our originals are Rob's creations. During the day, Rob is a lowly postman, but he is like Postman Pat on steroids. So he runs marathons. Again, he's in his 50s. But is into like taking care of himself. He had an accident, was it a year and a half ago, something like that? He went over the handlebars of his mountain bike and so came in all patched up and hobbling, but he's all right now. And Rob teaches guitar in his spare time, and he's also like, if you did a guitar exam, he would be the examiner that you would have to perform in
Oh,
front
so
of.
he does grading exams, does he?
Yeah, that's it.
Right.
Yeah. So there are many strings to his bow, or many strings to his guitar in this case, I
Yeah.
suppose.
That's fantastic.
So
Wow.
yeah, and then there's little old me. I'd never sung in a band before, and it had always been a dream of mine to be in a band. And in the past, I had people tell me I wasn't good enough and put me down and what have you. And then I decided to bite the bullet, and I went for an audition in a band and got it, another ska band. And then the old lead singer that had left decided to come back. So, which was unfortunate for me. And then I came along because I also play the saxophone. Again, I learnt, when I was 52. So again, something that I was like Nick, really focused, put my mind to it. And so I originally came into the band in its old name, sorry, as a female vocalist backing and also a sax player. So, and then over time it evolved, and then we did like the restructure, set up Section 8 brand new. And we were going to get a singer, and then the boys said, you know what, actually you're all right, Sonja. So, and I just got more and more confident, and now I absolutely love it. So, and I wouldn't change it for the world. So, and they're a really great bunch of guys, and I feel very privileged to work with them. And we all have a laugh, and we're all into schoolboy humour, which is quite funny, really. So yeah, and the name Section 8 comes from, if you get evicted out of your house, they serve you a Section 8,
Oh,
and that's where it
okay.
comes from.
So is it a similar philosophy to say you'd be 40 then in that
Yeah,
respect?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. That's really interesting. I didn't know
So
that.
yeah, so that's how that came about. I can't remember. Was that the whole question I've answered there, Charlie?
Pretty much, yeah. That was pretty much. I mean, and what about a bit more about yourself? So you said to me you live in the Kent area. Is that where you're from, born and
Yeah.
bred, or have you got other backgrounds as well?
So my parents are from London, and they moved to Kent, and I was born in the Medway towns. And then when I was 1.5, my parents moved to Faversham, and they're still in the same house to this day.
Oh wow.
Bless them. So, yeah, music has always been a big part of my life. I used to sing. I sung for, I don't know, 10, 11 years. I used to sing in a church choir. I've also done, I used to be part of a light operatic company. So, and my voice is trained classically. So, but my passion has always been ska music. And because of being, a classically trained singer, I didn't think I could make the transition, but actually I have. And whereas classical is very structured and very kind of, you mustn't deviate,
Yeah.
ska is the polar opposite. And it took me time to learn to relax when I sing, because classical is very, very tight diaphragm. But some of the skills that I've learned, obviously, I bring to the table. So, and before I did that, well, I say before I did that, before I got into singing in the ska band, do you know what I did, Charlie,
Now go on.
in my spare time? So, probably before you were born, in 1988, I was Miss Faversham. And
Okay.
then I was like a carnival queen. And, we went round to all the hospitals, and I did carnivals every weekend, raising lots of money for charity. Then I went on to win the title of Miss Kent and Sussex, which was like head carnival queen for Kent and Sussex. I always thought it sounded like a bus company, Kent and Sussex. But anyway. But yeah, and then obviously I had my 2 children, and my eldest daughter went and entered like a pageant. So, because it's all sort of changed a bit now, and she started winning, and then said, Mum, why don't you do one with me? Anyway, long story short, in 2018, I entered Classic Diamonds United Kingdom and I won. I then went on to compete in Las Vegas representing the United Kingdom, and so did my daughter. She won the Miss category in the UK, so she was Miss Diamond. And then we both went to Las Vegas, and obviously the system pays for you to go. And then I won Regency International, so Classic Regency International, and my daughter won Miss Regency International. And it was like amazing. I got to walk in New York Fashion Week. I was like the oldest one there. But again, it's about showing people that age is just a number and that it shouldn't stop you from doing anything. And I was the most successful classic contestant. I was the most successful contestant in the UK. So there you are. So
that's actually really quite mad that's come in conversation, because very recently, as the end of last year, my wife got into pageantry.
Really?
Yeah, where I'm sat now, I've got on my right hand side her 2 sashes, her crown, and 2 of the awards that she's won.
Do you know
and
what?
She's getting ready for another one now.
That's really funny. Where I'm sat is in what we call the Scarden. So it's a room in the garden and we call it the Scarden. And my daughter is a pageant coach. She's one of the most successful pageant coaches in the UK. She's been doing it just about a year, and to my right are all of her crowns and all of her awards, and in front of me are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, probably about 30 sashes.
Wow. We'll have to have a proper chat about this offline, Sonja, because there's a lot to talk about there, isn't there? Probably not quite relevant to a music podcast, but we'll speak about it offline. What really small world, yeah.
World,
that's incredible. So with you said been around for about a year and a half, but you've already had a pretty whacking great impact. You've got a decent social media following. You've done some pretty big shows, and there's a big one coming up this year that we'll speak about. What's the sort of the biggest show you've had to date?
That is a very good question. Probably, certainly for me, the highlight of my year last year, without a shadow of a doubt, was we did Skarmouth. So for those of you that don't know, it's at Great Yarmouth, and it's run by Neville Staple from the Specials and his wife, Christine Staple, and an amazing guy called Tom as well. Anyway, we got to perform, I think it was on the Saturday night, and we were backstage and Neville Staple appeared and sat down in his chair. It's like a throne, yeah. And then Jerry Dammers, who, for those of you that don't know, Jerry Dammers is also from the Specials, and he created Two Tone. It was his brainchild. So there's him, and then obviously Christine as well. So and I had to get out on stage while they sat there while I'm singing some of their songs, which was it was amazing. But I also crapped my pants at the same time.
Yeah, I bet. I was going to say, no pressure.
Too much pressure.
Literally, yeah.
So, but that for me was amazing. And I'll tell you a funny little story. So Rob, our postman stroke lead guitarist stroke songwriter, obviously we were all excited when we came off the stage. You can imagine we were buzzing. And Neville's backstage, and obviously Jerry and Christine. So I got a photo sat between Jerry and Neville. And then Rob came along and wanted to get a picture as well. But he didn't recognise Jerry Dammers. And he asked him if he could move over so he could get a picture with Neville. He said, I'm never going to live that down, Sonja.
That reminds me of...
so funny.
You heard Chris Kamara's story like that?
No, tell me about that.
I think I might get the club wrong here, but I think he was doing something at Chelsea and the training ground, and there were these kids leaning over the wall with autograph books, like, oh, Cammy, and he's like, oh, okay, so he goes over, and the kid gives him the book and goes, oh, go get Frank Lampard's autograph for me. Which again,
Love
I could
it.
have got the club or the player wrong, and or player wrong there, but
That's
yeah, it's
so
just
funny.
it's
So
very
funny.
similar. But it's great, and coming off the back of that, and your connection with Deaf Guitar Pop, and
Yeah.
we're both in how we know each other is through Silky and the mentoring that he gives us
We're in
and several
Silky's
others.
gang.
Silky's in a circle. What was it we called it on the call the other night? Silky's Illuminati. We all got a bit out of
Yeah,
that,
that's
didn't it?
it.
Yeah,
I love it.
but and what an absolutely great guy as well.
He is.
And so tell us about that, because that's leading you on to the Deaf Guitar Pop Festival Scargate.
Yeah, so obviously I'd been sort of chatting to Silky. I really like his music,
Same.
and I've got a lot of time for him because he obviously he lives in Kent, so do I, top geezer. I like the fact that Silky doesn't have visions of grandeur. I like the way that he's still got both feet on the ground and he remembers his roots. And he's always got time to talk to everyone. I went to Shepherd's Bush Empire to support his gig that he did last year, and that was amazing as well. And I got some photos with him and with Top Hat, and yeah, and it was a great evening and such a great performer as well. I really enjoyed everything that he did. And I, again, believe that you're never too old to learn. Every day you learn something new. So because of that, I decided to get involved and see what I could learn from him, with his sort of little get together and with his gang. And then after I saw him at Shepherd's Bush Empire, I obviously dropped him a message after I'd given him a few days, because you have, like in pageantry, you get a pageant hangover. When you've done a gig, you get a bit of a gig hangover because you're buzzing from it. And then like I go into like a complete exhaustion because I've given it 110%,
Oh, especially after a big one, or if you've had a few in a
Yeah,
week, so you say if you've done three or
totally.
four over a weekend, oh my God, that can take it out of you.
Yeah, exactly. So, and obviously then I started chatting to him and I said, one thing I've got to say, Silky, although I enjoyed your Shepherd's Bush Empire, why on earth was there not a single woman up on your stage? Not one. So, and I was teasing him about it. And I guess he must have thought about what I said and perhaps taken it on board. And then when we were doing different gigs, we'd like tag him so that he could see what we were about. And then he sent me a message and said, do you fancy being part of my, Scargate gig? And as soon as I got the message, I was like, boom, straight back at him. Yeah, we'd love to. So, and I'm really excited about it. And I'm really pleased that it's already pretty much sold out. There aren't many tickets left. And he's already planning a bigger and even better one for the following year. So, but I also think, I mean, in my work job, I run a business. And a lot of business acumen, I see that in Silky so strongly in what he does. And yeah, I've got a lot of time and a lot of admiration for him because, he works really hard. And I think that's the thing that people sometimes fail to realise. It doesn't just happen by magic for him or for us. We work really, really hard to try and, get the gigs, and to engage with people. And when we finished a gig, yeah, the rest of the bands pack away. I go round and I chat to people in the room and I encourage them to like and follow our social media. I engage with people, and I think that is part of the job. It's so important. And I think so many bands miss out on that and don't bother to do it. And I get that. A lot of people are introvert and extrovert. I'm probably just extrovert and again, mad as a hatter like the rest of the bands. But I think it is really important to make fans realise how appreciated and how valued they are. And I think that's key.
Definitely, and yeah, the whole business side of thing is something I struggle with, and exactly why I joined up with the inner circle because partly it's just me. At the moment. I'm a complete solo act.
Yeah.
Just me and a guitar and a PA system, and I've got gigs coming up where I've got a band booked to play alongside me as well. And that side of it's quite difficult for me. So that's where I've why I've joined up and
Yeah.
taken the wanted to take the advice again. I'm a big fan of Death and Guitar Pop as well. They are one of my favourite bands, just full stop. And
Yeah.
I've been into them for years. I'm unfortunately not been able to get to see them usually because of gig clashes. To be completely honest, it's where I've
Yeah.
been working and that kind of thing. And I'm intending to get down to Margate as well. So hopefully that'll be it. That'll be the time I get to see them and get to see you guys as well,
Brilliant.
which I'm really looking forward to. And I think that what Silky's done is kind of in a way brought around a belief for all of us that you don't need that record label or that X Factor win or that
Definitely.
you can do it, and it doesn't just because, say for example, you're not being played on Radio 1, played on the charts. I wouldn't want to be played on Radio 1 or get a number one, because to do that you have to be doing lowest common denominator stuff that's selling out that a record label's written for you.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think, as you say, Silk is all about DIY bands. And I think as well, especially like for musicians like yourself, when you're on your own, it can get really lonely and you can get very easily disheartened if you're not careful. And to keep the momentum and to keep the drive can be very hard at times. And I think by getting together with like-minded people, I think we all pick each other up and we push and motivate each other. And as you say, it shows that you don't need to be signed. You don't necessarily need a record label. And also it means that you can go in the creative direction that you feel is right for you and not be dictated to by, someone that you're signed up with, a record label.
Yeah, exactly, and that's where it's great to have our WhatsApp group and our check-ins every couple of weeks, and not only that, I've got friends, people like who I've had on this show, Slow Time Mondays, who are really good pals of mine. A guy I had on the first episode, Liz Michael Levy Jr., who's a soul singer out in Tenerife. Gigs, I mean, he'll do like 3 gigs a night, like 3-hour slots a night in different places.
Yeah.
Really gets it, really understands the graft, and it's great to have people, because if you don't network like that, there's no one who understands what you do and what you're going through.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. And I think as well, when you, for me, becoming involved in a band, there are bands as well that historically I used to listen to, and I'd go, oh my God, they sound amazing. And now I've actually realised that some of them play along to a backing track, whereas one of the things that we are really proud of in Section 8 is that we don't have any backing tracks. We literally create the music at the gig from scratch. And it is a risk. Things can go wrong. People can make mistakes, but that is the magic of live music, so, and I think it's really important. And one of the things that resonated with me on a lower level with Silky was the fact that he was saying about you need to put so many hours in of graft. What did he say? About 10,000 hours or something crazy.
Oh, something like that, yeah.
To actually perfect it. And it is about, working on it and if you don't succeed, try again. You keep at it, you keep persevering, and then eventually it does all come together and you create something magical. And for me, it is about the magic of music as well. You know, music has the power to bring people together from all different walks of life, regardless of colour, creed, religion, whatever. It brings you all together and it gives you that escapism from daily life to bring you to a really good place and to all have fun and enjoyment together. And I think that is something so precious and so amazing.
Oh yeah, definitely. And the thing is, I think where what I do, I do some ska, my original stuff I'm writing at the moment, ska, and I do a lot of sort of like the punk and post punk stuff, like the Clash, the Stranglers, the Jam. You know, those kind of like,
Brilliant.
you know, because I kind of feel like all those genres go hand in hand. You know, you found
Yeah,
a lot of the modern skinhead stuff and punk stuff all crosses over,
it
and
does.
you know, you can get a really good community there, really good community with the people watching you. Like I've been lucky enough to have been, I'm 33 now. I've been gigging around locally in Crawley and around since I was 18. I've been in different bands, and I'm lucky enough
Yeah,
that there are people, friends, family, friends of friends, people who have just picked up along the way who still come out and see me, and they're all got that in common where they're there because of that sort of music, and say things. I'll go and watch bands, and the same people who come to watch me go to see the bands I like seeing, and
yeah,
you end up with this massive group of friends. You know,
you
it
do.
can be incredible.
Yeah, I love it. I love the community, you know, and the way everybody supports everyone else. And, you know, when we go to Skarmouth, a lot of people that follow us all over the country, it is like a reunion. We all get together and we all have a great time. And when we did Skarmouth, I said to one of the organisers, I said, I want to get off the stage and I want to wander round. And whereas when we'd done it before, the sound engineers were like, "Oh no, you can't do that." Anyway, because I'd asked in advance, they agreed to it. And so myself and Nick, the saxophone player, we climbed over the barriers and went into the audience. And it was great. I loved it. And to be able to sing and dance with everyone and was just to interact with people is great. And I like to climb on tables, and so does Nick. We did one gig where we ended up stood on the bar and it was really high up. I mean, my God, if we'd fallen off, we would have really done ourselves some damage. But it's just the fun of it, and it's the showmanship, and it's just everything. And we're always looking for what can we do next to make it even more interesting, you know. So, and yeah, I love it. It's music is my drug.
Yeah, it does get it does get addictive, doesn't it? You know, I can remember
Yeah,
when I was like, when I first started performing in front of people, maybe 15, 16, and you get your three songs at an open mic or at a, you know, there was a local
yeah,
band who, bless them, used to let me play in their intermission when I was really young at our local social club, and I'm now in a position where I can do that for some of my guitar students,
yeah,
some of the
which
ones
is
that can sing as
great.
well, which is amazing, and you know, paying it forward, and then you get that buzz, then all of a sudden, you know, before what feels like you know, a split second, you've got a 40, 50 song like repertoire, and you're playing 2 50-minute sets in pubs every weekend, you know,
Yeah.
and it always, you know, every now and then I think, do you know what, I need some new songs because you know, getting a little bit bored of some of these, but other than that, it never gets old.
No, that's right. That's right. We as well, what we like to do is obviously Rob's writing more and more originals for us, but we also like to now get a normal song and we like to scar it up. So one of our songs that it worked really well. When I first chose it, the guys in the band, some of them were like, "Oh, I don't know whether that's going to work," but now they love it. We do a song. It's called "Small Town Boy." It's from the 80s, and it's by Bronski Beats. And because the guy's got a really high voice, he's kind of got like Bee Gees high, if you know what I mean. But we've made it into a ska song, and we sung it at Skarmouth, and it went down really well. So, you know, but it's good to do that because otherwise, when you go to like a ska event, if they have you know, all the bands playing the same old songs. There's only so many times you can listen to Night Boat to Cairo and One Step Beyond because every flipping band is playing it. And I think it's really good to mix it up a bit, you know?
Yeah, absolutely, and I think it's you know, sort of testament to what you said, that there are quite a lot of bands that are doing ska versions of non-ska songs. I remember the Interrupters did "Bad Guy" by Billie Eilish a few years ago,
Yeah,
and it was brilliant. It was absolutely fantastic, and there's definitely a lot to be said for that. And I think that if you can, you know, do a bit of that, play some of the classic stuff that people don't hear
yeah,
as much, you know, as well. Some of the 60s, some of the Jamaican ska, rather than just a two tone as well. That
yeah.
can really give an opening. And I do either, depending on where I'm playing, I do ska or Northern Soul DJ sets after I finish playing. And
Brilliant.
it's great. It's great. I just sort of judge the room. Sometimes ask the gaffer, like, you know, what do they like in here? You know, what's going to go down well. And
Yeah.
you know, it's always always great time. Every now and then I'll chuck on a classic one, and people don't know it. But what I do find a bit strange, half the people just stay up because it's a good song and they stay dancing. I'm not judging here. I can't and don't dance, and that's just me. But a lot of them will go, oh, I don't know this one, and go and sit down. I'm like, well, in 2-3 minutes, one you do know is going to be on. You know what I mean? You
Yeah.
might as well stay up, you know, enjoy a new song you've not heard before. And I do find that a little bit odd, but I find the people who are really into their music don't mind. I think that's the bread and butter of what we do, isn't it? It's people like
Yeah,
that.
definitely. You do get as well, you get the old school that, as you say, will only dance to songs they know. But I think that it's really important in order to keep ska alive and two tone alive, because, you know, it's been going donkey's years. It's about influencing the next generation. So obviously, like, you're 33, so you're younger. That's fantastic. So also with some of the songs that we're performing now, like the Bromsky Beat song, although it's from the 80s, you hear it a lot on TikTok and places like that. And so by doing some of the newer songs, if there are younger people in the audience, they're like, yeah, I really like this and I really enjoy it, you know. And I do some of the Amy Winehouse songs. I think as well, for me as a female ska singer, there definitely aren't as many females around singing ska as there are guys. And I think because of that, I can play that to my advantage. So, I mean, we've scarred up a Beatles song, "Don't Let Me Down." It was also sung in the 60s by a woman, and I can't for the life of me, I can see her face, but I can't for the life of me think of her name. My mind's gone blank. But again, it is about mixing it up, as you say. So you've got a mixture of things so that, you know, it suits everybody. And one thing I will say, so there's a big ska event that takes place in Kent on the coast, mentioning no names. And you know what? Because we don't play covers only, we play originals as well. They said, no, 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 we can't have you because of that. So everybody has to listen to covers all weekend, and they pay a lot of money to go to this festival. And so we play in a pub up the road. And at the moment on our TikTok, from one of our performances there, we've had over 200,000 views. Now, wouldn't you think that the organisers would think, do you know what? Let's mix it up a bit. But they don't. It's crazy. I just don't understand it.
Yeah, people don't like to think outside the box. I mean,
No.
I come across an issue where when I'm doing my sort of local, you know, one man show gigs, that are kind of, you know, the pay the mortgage sort of thing gigs, you know, as I
Yeah.
call them. There are a few pubs around my way that think that they'll only book a band. They won't book me. And a lot of people do, and I you know, I fill the pubs up quite nicely. I get a decent following. I've got sound to movement lights. I create an atmosphere. I do the DJ sets at the end. I play very high energy stuff. I break loads of strings. God, so
Brilliant.
many. And you know, I'm saying to these people, you know, what makes you think that I can't do it. For one, it's going to be cheaper because you're only paying one person, you're not
Yeah,
paying a whole band. So like, take a chance on it, and some of them do. And they book me again and again. And some of them are like, no, need a band, and they quite often end up missing out because the bands are too expensive for them.
yeah,
And
yeah,
that, that's not necessarily an issue with the bands. That's an issue with the economy and the pubs not having the money. That's not
yeah.
that the bands are
That's very
overcharging.
true.
But you just, you kind of end up banging your head against the wall sometimes trying to explain to
Yeah.
people, look, I'm out there doing this every weekend with the greatest respect. I know you book a lot of bands, but we're the ones out there doing it. Listen to us because we can help each other out here.
Yeah, definitely. I think it needs to be a mixture. But with us, I remember going into a pub in Essex and, she wanted to pay us 200 quid, and that's just an insult. It really
I mean,
is,
I don't
you
work for
know?
less than that, just me on my own.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so that is an insult. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly. There's like six of us. So, and it is finding that happy medium, where you get, and there are pubs that will pay and social clubs that pay and that are really good. So, but yeah, it is frustrating when people go, oh no, my budget's £200, £250. Obviously for me, because I've been involved in going out and getting some of the gigs, and I have learnt now to walk away. And we played at one venue and I didn't take a fee because we'd never played there before. And we had the place absolutely jumping. And then they were happy to have us back and pay more money because they know then they're going to get, their return on their investment, if you like. So, and I get that, and I think it's about having flexibility as well. But the other thing I also think that is changing in the world today, and definitely from, like, I know Rob, our guitarist, has said to me years ago, everybody did cash. Now, with some of it, people want to do backs payments and bank transfers
Yeah,
and
they use
stuff.
Event UK or Gig Realm and things like that, don't
Yeah,
they?
yeah.
Yeah, and
So
I haven't got so much of an issue with it being a electronic transfer, but it's the fact that it sometimes takes you a fortnight to get paid.
yeah, do you know we had one, and it was a group of pubs, and again everybody had a great time. It took me 3 months to get paid, but I was like a dog with a bone, and I kept on it. And I had to jump through lots of hoops. I had to register on their system, but they didn't tell me that in the beginning. Oh, yeah, you need to be a registered supplier. Oh, yeah, we then have to agree it all. Oh, yeah, then you have to submit an invoice. Oh, yeah, then the manager has to approve it. Then it has to go to head office. Then they raise a purchase order. Then you create a new invoice with the purchase order. And then 28 days later, we pay you. Now, I'm in business, so all of that didn't vex me. But I can imagine a lot of bands, they just go, do you know what? It's not worth it. And I wonder how many bands or musicians just end up walking away because of that, and that's really bad that places do that and that they're not transparent.
Yeah, it is a shame, and that there's I see it on the other side as well. I know a couple of bands who won't even sign up to say Entertainment UK. I mean, that took me 20 minutes to do. And they're missing out on gigs because of it. Because, say, for example, a pub that's part of a brewery
Yeah,
only work that way. For example, I know Green King will only book through Gig Realm. Just
yeah,
for example, and Hall and Woodhouse will only book through Entertainment UK, and they're missing out on work because of it. Now, those, as far as things go, those particular companies are really good to work with, but there are some out there, like you say, who do put you through the ringer, do make you jump through hoops, and it's the way I always sort of put it to these people is, look, your staff are getting paid. Everyone else is
yeah.
getting paid. What makes me any different?
Yeah, no, totally. I agree. I agree completely. But yeah, I think it is. I mean, we have the band, since I've been sort of at the helm of the ship, if you like, I've tried to professionalise everything. So we're like fully insured. We've got a top of the range PA system. So if we turn up, we've got everything. You can give us a space and one plug socket and we can make it work, you know. So and I think that's really important to be able to do that. And with bands, they should all be insured. I wonder how many are and how many
Well,
aren't.
I say people, if they say, oh, it's expensive, I say join the musicians union.
Yeah,
You at least get your public liability sorted out that way and a little bit of instrument cover, just through
yeah,
being a member. And recently, I only went full time in May doing this,
yeah,
and well, mixture of performing and teaching. And I justified by my own PA system rather than renting one.
yeah.
And that saved me 50 quid a gig. And having that, like you say, it's so much of a better much better scenario all round, really, from an organisational point of view. It looks more professional. It's going to sound better because you haven't got all the other clients of the company, moving everything around, wearing stuff out. You got a channel broken on one desk or whatever.
Yeah,
It's definitely, I'm completely with you on that. It's definitely best to be as self-sufficient as possible.
yeah, definitely. I invested in a Bose system, cost me an arm and a leg, but speakers are so powerful. We only have them on about quarter. They are so powerful.
Yeah, I've
Uh,
got I've got 2,500 watt speakers, which for me on my own is absurd. But
yeah,
the idea is when I do play with a band, I've got that power,
you've got that scope,
Yeah,
haven't you?
exactly. I don't need to go and rent a bigger one for an occasion. I can just use what I've got.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah, definitely.
was going to ask you, have you ever been in Kentway? Have you ever played at Tybers?
Yes, we
Yeah.
have. Yeah, yeah, we played at Tybers. Probably about 9 months ago, something like that. But obviously, then the manager that was in charge there, she then left, and so there's been a lot of changes there. So, but yeah, we've played at Tybers, so it's a great venue. It's just getting all the kit up the stairs because it's
Uh,
upstairs.
Yeah, there's loads of venues in North London, or London in general, but North London in particular.
Yeah,
I've told this story on this show before, but a friend of mine helping me get my valve amp and my guitar case and that up this narrow staircase in Chalk Farm, and it was just like, oh my god, what is this about? But so I didn't
yeah, it's
realise.
like
So
a
all of
little
that.
workout.
Yeah, so I didn't realise Tybers actually had the music upstairs. I
Yeah,
didn't know that because it's not. I've
yeah.
not actually managed to get down to myself. But for anyone listening, Tybers, it's in a pub in Tunbridge Wells, and it's I might say it's either heavily linked with or owned by the Jewelers. Is that right?
Yes, it's owned by Tiber. So downstairs, Tiber does Caribbean food.
Hmm.
So if you like your jerk chicken, your rice and peas, all the traditional. I mean, I'm a big fan of plantain. I love
Same.
plantain. So he does all the food and all the drinks downstairs, and then you go upstairs and there's the entertainment, which is actually quite nice because sometimes, I mean, for us as a band, we're very loud. You wouldn't have us in a restaurant because you wouldn't be able to speak to the person next to you or anything. So by having the restaurant downstairs and then the music and the bar upstairs is great. So you go upstairs and then there's a bar to the left and there's like a bit of a seating area, and then to the right there's a DJ booth, and then he's got like a stage, and obviously Tiber plays there, and he has all different DJ guests and everything going on there as well. So yeah, it's all good.
Yeah, it's definitely somewhere I've got to get to. I'm not a million miles away. I'm only in Crawley. So
Yeah,
I can definitely, I've go to Tunbridge Wells. I used to go to Tunbridge Wells a lot. My wife's from Sevenoaks, so it was quite a nearby place for us. We go to the Forum quite a lot, and
yeah.
the Sussex Arms and the Bedford, and all those sorts of places. And so Tunbridge Wells is, I know the High Street's a bit depressing now with half the shops being shut, but it's still got some really good music venues.
Yeah, yeah. We played in a nice pub last year in Croydon called the Oval, and that's
Okay.
a nice pub. So again, it's like a live music venue, which is good, which probably is fairly Croydon's not a million miles away from you.
No, not at all. Half hour, just up the
Yeah,
M23 because we're just by Gatwick Airport, so
yeah.
we're really close to there. So that's definitely somewhere to check out as well. I wanted to ask you a bit more about as well because you know as you mentioned you are an originals band as well as doing
Yeah.
you're you know doing covers as well. Now, what I'm interested in because this is just something that interests me. Where do you record? Who's your producer? What's the setup around that?
So we record at Bluebell Hill Studios in Kent. It's an amazing studio. I know Silky like recommended a studio that he goes to, but they were full, and I found Bluebell Hill Studios. So it's near Maidstone.
Hmm.
It's beautiful. It is a massive 6-bedroom house that's been converted, and they've got state of the art equipment. It's some studios can be a bit dark and dingy, and it's not like that at all. You can, if you want to, you can hire their chef who will cook for you.
Really?
Yeah, it's amazing. Jamiroquai record there, if you remember
Oh yeah,
Jamiroquai.
yeah, of course.
Uh, Stormzy records there. I'm trying to think of some of the others. I think Coldplay have recorded there as
I'll
well.
tell you what, I've just fascinated. I've gone on their website and it does look absolutely gorgeous. But oh my god, these names: Sam Fender, Arctic Monkeys, Kasabian,
Yeah, Arctic
Stereophonics.
Monkeys, that's it. That's what I was
Yeah,
thinking of.
you know, You and Me at Six, 1975. There is some absolutely Skepta, Stormzy, like you said, the Libertines. Even there
Yeah.
are some absolutely huge bands on here.
Yeah. So, and it's lovely. And there's like, obviously, you've got the kitchen and the dining table and a lovely sofa and TV. So you can almost like sometimes recording is very intense and you need to step away and have a bit of a break. And so you can do that. And they also have, there's a little cafe, like a 2-minute walk. So you can go up to the cafe and have something to eat, which is what we did in groups because obviously we were like recording the horn section, then the guitars, and so yeah, and it was really good. And you can stay there. So some bands go there for a week or go there for a weekend, and then their entourage can all stay there. So we were able to do it in a day because we were very organised and very rehearsed. And obviously, as a self-funded band, we're on a tight budget as well.
Of course.
So yeah, but it was great, and the lad that did all the mixing and everything was brilliant as well, and listened to us and worked with us. And then they recommended someone to do the mastering as well that they work with. So yeah, we were really pleased with the end result.
I recorded our album in a shed. That's like we had really good producers who were still good friends of them. My nan, they were groomsmen at my wedding. Actually, I was with one of them yesterday. He's been on this show actually, Christian, and it was just done. I think we rented out the rehearsal room and then moved all of the equipment in there to do the drums, so we had a better acoustics for the drums, and then everything else was just done in his sort of shed studio, and for what it is, it sounds great. But I think looking at this, he'd be going absolutely nuts looking at this.
Honestly,
He'd love to get in here as a producer.
it was amazing. I didn't want to go home. I wanted to move in.
Yeah, I was speaking with a couple of shows ago. I had a guy called Smiley Bernard on here, and he's a prolific session drummer. He actually played for Robbie Williams on his first tour.
Oh wow.
He's played for Joe Strummer. He's played for the Stranglers. He's done some really incredible stuff, and he's a producer as well. He's the one I'm going to be working with, and we had a conversation about you really need to be able to trust your producer when you're in that studio. You need to be able to work together, and while you're doing that, in that process, whether it's for the day, the week, whatever it is, they're kind of like a temporary member of that band because you got what you're recording there is going to be heard by everybody potentially forever. If you think some of the
Yeah.
music we listen to now it's like classical music, it's been around since the 1790s or whatever. That music could be around and being listened to people for hundreds of years. So you've got to get it
Yeah.
right, and you've got to trust that producer because they are the huge key difference of getting that sound, and they're not just there to twiddle the buttons, and they're there to suggest things. And sometimes I might even say, look, maybe move that hook there, or maybe that's your hook instead of that, and it's really worth listening to them.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. I mean, Rob, our songwriter, because he's so experienced. I mean, Rob has written music for TV adverts and done all sorts of stuff and worked with Fleetwood Mac and
Wow.
yeah, so he's very experienced and in his head he knows how he wants things to sound. And do you know what? Sometimes he'll go, yeah, it needs to be this and that, and we're like, oh, really? But then it always works, and he's always right. So
Yeah.
we do trust his judgment, and he obviously has a vision in his head of how the finished product will sound.
Yeah, so in a
So
way, he's producing himself before you even went into the studio.
yeah,
You know,
yeah, he's already
it's
written another couple of songs, so I'm sure he'll share those with me soon.
yeah.
So
And talking about those songs, I'll put in I put a post up in a Scar group we're both in because I've got a radio show coming up on a local station where I'll be doing Scar tracks, and I want to feature an unsigned band every week. And when your tracks come through, I was like, oh, that's Sonja. Yeah, I know her.
yeah,
And you sent through Calling Out and Kinky Britain. So
yeah.
can you tell us a bit more about those songs, the reception they've had, what they're like to perform live, and how does it feel performing those over doing, say, specials or Madness covers?
Okay, so let's start. So Calling Out was our very first song that we did. And I loved doing the video. My daughter featured in it. So the one that does the pageant, she's a really good little actress. And Calling Out, I basically gave Rob a bit of a brief, our songwriter. I said I'd really like to record a song about domestic abuse because it's something that has happened to me. And I know how tough it can be for men, women, whoever is in a toxic relationship. And I wanted to, as I say, write a song about it and create a song about it to empower others. And so that's how Calling Out sort of came around. And I remember when Rob first played it to me, and we always laugh because obviously he's having to sing it in my key, and it always sounds really funny when a bloke sings really high like that because he can't really do it. But you know what? It was so powerful the way he sung it to me. It almost moved me to tears, and I knew that it was the right song to do. And like the words, you say it's not your intention, but your mood swings and aggression. Oh, my battered face, disgrace, disgrace. And it's about a person that's calling out because nobody can see the toxic relationship that they're in. And so I love singing it. I really do, and performing it. And it went down as our first song. It went down really, really well with everybody that heard it. And gave everybody an earworm as well, which is always a good sign. And then Rob's actually written a second song, which we've not recorded yet, that is the follow on from Calling Out. And it's about, it continues the story, which I think is genius. It's called Dry Tears. And it's about she's then managed to get away from this person, and it's I about waking up in the morning in my single bed, the sun is shining through. I look around and I shake my head. There's nothing you can do. The sky is truly blue. Now I'm rid of you, and I can play what I want to play, say what I want to say goodbye to Dry Tears because she's not shedding any tears at all. Festival. So we are going to be recording that as a follow-on from Calling Out. And I think that's really clever, the way he's done that. So you've got the sadness, and then you've got coming out the other side, and the sun is now shining and life is good. So that's that one. And then Kinky Britain was one that we decided, Rob said, I've got this really good idea. And like he was telling us, we were at a gig and we were all really laughing and saying, you know, what goes on in your home, Rob? But it's about what goes on behind closed doors. It's very tongue-in-cheek. It's supposed to be funny. It's not supposed to offend anybody. And yeah, it's about, you know, you can do what you want to do. If you like hot and peppery, then that's fine. But if you're more of a vanilla person in your relationship, then that's okay too. And it's like, if rubber is your thing and you like to swing, happy days. But if you'd rather snuggle up with a glass of wine, that's fine. So, and obviously we went to the studio, and again, that was our first time at the Bluebell Hill Studios. And I didn't quite know how the guy that was putting it all together in the studio was going to react. But he said it's a great song and he really liked it. And again, everyone was singing We All Live in Kinky Britain. And what we did was we also used that venue to make the video as well. So we actually filmed in that house because there was loads of bedrooms and that. So that was really good fun as well.
Do you know, it's I've really noticed there that from what you've spoken about with both of those songs, I really think ska, and this is where ska and punk have got a lot in common.
Yeah.
The attitude behind ska and punk, I've always said, it is pretty much it's the same. It's just just the cultural difference and geographical difference from when they both kind of come about. But you can talk about really, really serious subjects that need to be spoken about, that don't get spoken about enough. And you know, you can do that. But it's also two of the best genres you could choose to have a bit of a laugh with and be tongue in cheek. Yeah. You know, and it's so weird because that doesn't really make sense, does it? But
no,
it happens.
You wouldn't expect it to work, would you? You'd think we'd either be a serious band or we'd be a laughy, joking, mucking about band, but we've got both sides of the coin.
Yeah, it's a bit like when you hear a metal band and it's all really aggressive and you know, that sounds really intense, but then you actually speak to the people and they're nice as pie. You know, like, it's a bit like that in a way, I suppose. But you know, that's really great. Thank you for sharing that out because they are great. They are great songs. I've been listening to so much unsigned ska from what I've been sent for the new radio show, and of course listening to the songs in prep for interviewing you. And it's great to get that context because you know. It's nothing like actually because you can listen to the lyrics and hear it and make your interpretations, but it's nothing like actually speaking to the people involved in making the music to really get it. I mean, I guess sort of as we come to the end, you know, you've got Scargate coming up. You've just mentioned there's new songs coming, collaborations coming up with, of course, Stefan Guitar with the festival, and you know, hopefully you'll be at the one they do the year after as well. Is there anything else coming up that you've got in the pipeline that you want to tell us about? You got any particular gigs or any new adventures?
Yep, so we're doing Leicester, which is in Leicester. So that's quite a long way from home.
There's a theme occurring here with these festival names.
Yeah, Scar in the name. I'll tell you another one we're doing that I'm quite excited about, and I'm just waiting for confirmation, is on I think it's the bank holiday weekend in August. We're going to be performing at the Isle of Wight in Ryde Pavilion, which is all connected up to the scooter rally.
Wow, yeah, brilliant.
So we did it last year. They obviously put us in at the tail end because they didn't know what we were like, and I totally respect and understand that. And we went down really, really well. And the organiser said, do you know, it's such a shame that you're at the tail end, and we'll definitely have you back. So I'm in negotiations with them at the moment to hopefully, as I say, get back there for that weekend. They're just confirming it all and going through everything. I think we're going to do a couple of gigs while we were over there. But it's lovely because it's like a little holiday. So we all go across on the ferry, and then we all get to stay in a hotel together, and it's really good fun, and it's really nice. Like at Skarmouth, we all get to socialise together, and I think it's really important. You know, we're a team, and it's really important as a team to do things so that we are a team and a team player and not just an individual. At Christmas, I organised a Section 8 Christmas party for us where we had a night off. We all went out. We went to this lovely Indian restaurant in Essex. I think it was near Rayleigh. And we had an absolute ball, and it was really good fun. And like all the guys brought their wives and that, and it was really nice. And it's just, yeah, and it was a lovely finish to the end of the year. And I think it is important to do things like that, you know, because I see the band as my family. So that was nice. And then we're also in September, we are involved at Dartford Social Club. I went along just to support it last year, and we've been invited, and we're playing and performing this year. It's for, I believe it's Teenage Cancer Trust. And so we wanted to be involved in that and wanted to support that. So all the bands that are performing there are all performing for free, so that all the money they raise from ticket sales goes to Teenage Cancer Trust. And I think it's nice to be able to give a bit back, you know.
Absolutely. You know, what you said there about the you know, be able to get together and have a bit of a laugh is so true. Like we did a gig, I must say it was me and several other bands, October just gone. And it was a gig for Music Minds Matter, the musicians' wellness charity.
Yeah.
And what it was I've spoken about this a lot on the show, so I won't go into it in too much detail. But a friend of mine and pretty much everybody in Crawley, who was a musician called Mike Doby, who was a real local legend. He passed away through essentially, without getting to graphic effects of mental health, and his late wife ended up working for Music Minds Matter because of that. So she organised, basically his album was nearly finished, so his producer finished it, and we did an album launch party for him. And it was just incredible because you had myself, all of the local guys, like a band called Shotgun 21, Slow Time Mondays, a friend of mine called Paul Stanworth, Smiley, Bernard, his producer, come down. His brother, Paul Doby, flew over from Monaco, where he lives, to play, and they set up because it was in somewhere Mike played a lot. It was actually in my social club where I go. They set up the small hall as a green room for us and just gave us a space to all chill out and have a laugh and have a drink together and have that, because it was a bit of an emotional day, because he was a good friend of all of ourselves, but it gave us a space to go and just be ourselves and have some fun. Then we went out into the room, and everyone else there knew us as well, who come to watch, and we had a really good time with them as well, as emotional as it was. And you're right, that is, and also it pairs them with the giving back. You know, it really,
definitely. I think as well, referring back to what you said earlier about really our music will outlive us, and our music is our legacy, and that is a classic example of that legacy that he's then left behind to remember and to be proud, and you know, and to pass on to generations to come. Do you know, I have a family member dating back to, I think it's about the 15th or 16th century, and his name was Mozart Wilson. And when I told someone, they thought I was like mucking about, but seriously, Mozart Wilson is one of my descendants, one of my like relatives. I descend from him rather. And he wrote music, and we had a family get together through doing a family tree, and they played Mozart's music. And Mozart used to perform for the king. And although he wasn't as famous as obviously the genuine Mozart, Mozart Wilson wrote a load of music and we were able to listen to it. And again, someone had told him in hundreds of years' time, your family are going to be listening and paying their respects to you for your music and your contribution. What a thing, what a legacy.
Oh, it's absolutely incredible. I'm really pleased you've said that, because that's an incredible story. That is amazing. And do you know, on a less serious note, my ADD brain, when you said the two Mozarts, my head went, like Elvis Costello and Elvis Presley. And I thought, no, it's nothing like Elvis Costello and Elvis Presley, you idiot. What are you talking about? To myself. So that's the way my brain works. But that is such a good example of that. It really is. Because look, I mean, I'm one of my favourite bands of all time, The Small Faces. Steve Marriott probably died way before I was born. Look at Joy Division again. Ian Curtis died way before I was born. I've been lucky enough to see Peter Hook and the Light, which is excellent. I'm really pleased that I've seen them. And that's the way it will be and the way it should be, because I kind of feel like music's so sterile now in the mainstream.
Yeah.
It really is. There's no, the artists have very little control over what they do, and I mean, no disrespect when I say this about this particular person, because he's a really nice bloke and very talented. James Bay, I was a year or two below him at BIM, the music college, and I used to go see him a lot before he got signed. And he was an absolutely brilliant blues musician. He was a full-on blues singer and guitarist, and he was brilliant. And you compare that to, say, Hold Back the River. I mean, you're telling me that wasn't the record company's say? Of course it was.
Yeah.
And I've got I have no issue with that. Fair play to him. I wish him every success in the world. And he's been very successful, made a great living for himself. But that is the effect of the industry nowadays. And I do sometimes feel like, are we better off kind of stepping aside of it in our own little industry that we've kind of all created between us?
Yeah, no, definitely. I think as well, so there's so many apps and things now that you can write music and you just sample loads of different stuff, mash it all together, and then there's a song, and it's not like the grassroots that we create. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I know people talking about like AI writing songs, and that's where I draw the line. I use ChatGPT. I use ChatGPT to organise my questions for this podcast. It's great. I don't want it writing songs for me. No,
exactly.
It's incredible. I mean, thank you so much for your time, Sonja. Before we wrap up, is there anything else you want to say to anyone out there, or anything you want to let us know about?
What I was going to say was, if people want to follow us on Facebook or on Instagram, I will give you the details. So obviously, like on TikTok, we are the Section 8 band. That's the number 8. On Instagram, we are also the Section 8 band. And on Facebook, we are just Section 8 band. If anyone wants to give us a like, give us a follow, and they can see the journey that myself and the boys are going on. And in April, we're going to be on BBC Introducing. They've asked us to play a couple of originals plus a cover. So I think I'm going to do Small Town Boy and probably Pinky Britain and Calling Out there. So they will be live in the studio and they're going to be recording us. So I'm really excited about that. And that will be broadcast on the 22nd of April on BBC Radio Kent, BBC Radio Solent, BBC Radio Oxford, BBC Radio Berkshire, and BBC Radio, I think it's either Surrey or Sussex. I can't remember which one. It might be both, actually.
I think Surrey and Sussex are kind of pretty much the same station. I think they just broadcast the same station on two different frequencies. So that sounds about that probably is both.
So that'll be on at 8:00 at night. So if anyone wants to listen, then we'd be really grateful for everybody's support.
Oh, definitely. I certainly will be. And I will put all of those social media links in the description of this podcast when it goes out as well. So people will be able to find it nice and easily in the description of whatever app you're listening on. Sonja, thank you so much. This has been great. I've really, really enjoyed this. So thanks for joining me. And I'm sure our paths will cross at some point soon in the future.
Thank you very much for having me, Charlie. I've
Anytime.
loved it, and I look forward to your journey too.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Cheers. Thank you so much, Sonja. Cheers.
Bye.
You've been listening to the Bandwagon Podcast with me, Charlie Cooper. You can follow us on Facebook and Instagram at The Bandwagon Pod, and follow us on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube Music and Amazon Music to keep up with future shows.